This is Attorney Isaiah Jerez here with Covenant of Justice. Thanks for coming today, Danette.
My
And
pleasure.
you've been with Film Nevada for 17 years. Talk about some loyalty.
Yeah, I know. Loyalty. I guess I'm a lifer. I guess I like my job a little bit, right? So, yeah, 17 years. I don't know, maybe two or three governors, a couple
Oh,
administrations later, and I'm still
yeah.
standing. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially in a time where people skip around jobs so much. How have you been able to say, okay, this is where my passion is, this is where my calling is, and I'm going to stay here?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky. Part of it's luck and part of it's circumstance. I mean, there was a period of time where there were budget cuts, and during the first recession of 2009, I had
Hmm.
gotten a pink slip,
Oh,
like after I started, and I just lucked out because another girl that was in Northern Nevada ended up leaving her position, which saved mine. So
hmm.
it's been just kind of a stroke of luck over the years as well. During pandemic and all these other things that we've gone through, it's just I've gotten lucky to be able to maintain my position there. So, and I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty good, right? Because you started right around where the GFC, the global financial crisis, started, right? The big recession.
Hmm.
And then you got the pink slip, and then you just basically threw
Yes.
it in the trash and said,
So
no,
I
I'm staying.
actually had gotten laid off from a previous position and landed here with the state. I was collecting unemployment and looking at open jobs, and this one opened up. And, it's a state job through the government website. And I thought, oh, film, that's kind of shiny and exciting. So I applied for it and got really lucky again. So, yeah, that was the whole kind of weird part about it was I'd gotten laid off, started this job, and then got a pink slip 9 months in because of the recession. So, but everything worked out. Everything happens for a reason. So I landed in the right place and been here ever since. So.
Yeah, and with Film Nevada, the focus is to bring producers here, right, to Nevada to be able to shoot their movies.
Yes, 100%. So our mission is to market the state as a production destination. So we like to recruit productions to come filming in the state, but we also help local production and film students and independent filmmakers here in the state as well. But bringing in outside production stimulates economic development through production spend in state and also hopefully job creation by hiring our local vendors and crew.
And of course, we're famous for the Strip, right? Whoever wants to film the Strip, right? That's a
100%.
big draw. But there's a lot more to Nevada than just the Strip.
Absolutely, and a lot of people don't know that. There's so much more. I know a lot of people think, they get confused where it's the Las Vegas Film Office or something like that, but we represent the whole state. So, absolutely, Lake Tahoe, Reno area, there's the small town rurals, there's the ghost towns. Nevada has a ton of diverse locations, and I'll get some calls sometimes where people don't even realize that it snows. So I got a call one time where they said, "Oh, it snows here?" I said, "Absolutely. Like we have snow on Mount Charleston, like right 45 minutes away." So, um, there is a lot of PR spin on that because we're known for the glitz and glam and that boulevard right around the corner from us. But there's so much more that the state has to offer.
Yeah, and the diversity of the scenery, of course, the Strip. What other things draw production companies here to Nevada to be able to shoot the movies?
When I first started at the film office, it was about location, location, location. So if a script called for Nevada or we had a landscape that matched a desert landscape, we could much more easily, convince the production to shoot here. And then the tide changed with the onset of the competitiveness with film tax incentives, and it became less about the locations we offer and more about what incentives we offered, which at the time we didn't have any. And so my phone calls were very, very short. It was, "Hi, what tax incentive do you have?" And I would say, "We don't have a program yet, but we have 300 days of sunshine and nice, easy permitting or whatever." But it was like they're not interested in that, and a lot of that is what's driving productions today, which is why you see some stuff that's set in Las Vegas and filmed elsewhere. That's why.
Is because of the tax incentives.
Correct.
Yeah, and this is stuff that the is not being driven by the production crew, but being driven by the company that's financing
Right.
it.
It's about
And
the
so,
cost.
how does that affect the art, right? If the artist or the production company, they envision, right, that there's going to have a certain backdrop or they're going to have a certain scenery,
Yeah.
and the financier comes and says no, right? How does that affect the end product and the art that we end up seeing?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if people really notice that desert scene is in Dubai versus in Nevada desert, or if they know that it's in New Mexico desert or not. I don't know that in the end result with the viewer that they realize that. But what it does do is make our job extremely, extremely difficult. If they can get a higher tax incentive and Abu Dhabi or something like that versus what Nevada can offer. Even though we're really close to Hollywood, they'll take the production elsewhere. They'll take it globally because of that. So, the end result is the local crew and the local vendors suffer because there's no job creation and there's no economic impact. And so we're losing jobs and we're losing production, and it just makes it really difficult.
So as part of your job then as well to work on lobbying with the legislator to provide those tax incentives, or is it a statewide, or is it more localized to certain counties?
Our current program is a state program. Our office is part of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. So in that capacity, we don't lobby for anything. The different grassroots effort or the people who draft bills will be, sometimes they'll find a bill sponsor or they'll be lobbyists with a company. But our office just enforces whatever gets voted on. So whatever law becomes, whatever piece of legislation passes and becomes law, our office is the one that will administer whatever the law is that passes. So we're sort of just Switzerland. Yeah, we're not policymakers or anything like that. We just enforce whatever the law is.
And so another point that you brought up is there's proximity to Hollywood, proximity to California. And that's beneficial, I imagine, because you have talent there, but it's easy for them to come here to Vegas.
Right. That's part of what I call our soft incentives, where you're showing people what the other benefits are that aren't financial. So things like low-cost permitting and quick permitting turnaround times and proximity to Los Angeles, and for the A-list talent to be able to go home on the weekend and spend time with their family or the crew members, or our five-star restaurants and five-star hotels. They're not in the middle of the boonies somewhere. They're here at a world-class destination. And even Tahoe has great locations and great resorts and things like that. So, I might get in trouble for saying this, but do people really want to go to Georgia, or do they really want to go to, these places? I don't know that they do. I think if a better opportunity presented itself closer to home, with an equal playing field, I think, they prefer to work closer to Hollywood. At least that's what we've been told over and over and over again by productions that come, producers from LA, from, a lot. Like if this changed or this tweaked a little bit, we'd be here in a heartbeat. So we have heard that.
Yeah, and working for 17 years, right, and seeing the film crews come in, seeing the movies get produced, and then seeing them come up on the screen, what has been your favorite film that you've kind of seen from that initiation process where you've worked with the permitting process and then to get up on the screen?
I think for me, a career highlight was probably Jason Bourne, 2015, 2016, I think. We worked really closely with the location department, with the location managers and that whole team. And, that quick 6-minute high-speed car chase scene that you see on Las Vegas Boulevard, that is only 6 minutes, took 18 months of planning and coordination with Public Works and the permitting offices and the county and the hotels, and a lot of behind the scenes takes place with that. Even, the speedway where the stunt cars had to rehearse that crash, and, the extras, and, we were able to get into the Riviera at the time because it was abandoned, and the timing was perfect for that because they were going to implode it anyway. So it was just a bunch of stars aligning with awesome, like there's this property they can use and crash right into the front of it, which doesn't normally happen. It was just like serendipity that all these things were happening at the same time. So the production was over the moon about it. It was just like, are you kidding me? We get to crash into the Riviera and that's it. And so a lot of meetings and behind the scenes, and a lot of, sitting in all those meetings with all those entities and listening to the back and forth of, the negotiating between how can we get to a yes? How can we get you from a no to a yes, or from a maybe to a yes? And it's very interesting to see the back and forth, but it was a career highlight to see it and to see it played out. And, I was there the night of that high-speed crash with the SWAT car and all those stunt people, and there was a safety meeting at the beginning of the night where the guy said, that's it, you get one take. If this guy screws up, everyone jump out of the way. It was just like, that was a safety meeting. Like, he's got one time to crash through this glass and he better make the mark, or that's it. So, it was freezing cold. It was a night in January. Typically things like that shoot overnights. So, but it was just a really exciting time because, the nature of the movie, and it had never been done before. They came to us and said, listen, so we want to do a high-speed car crash on Las Vegas Boulevard. And we were like, oh, okay. has that ever been done before? Was it, nope, it hasn't been done before, but let's talk about it. So that's one thing that's so great about, our permitting offices statewide is just they're willing to talk about it. It's never a flat no. It's just let's talk about it.
Let's be flexible. Let's find a way to work
Let's
it.
figure it out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even though, there's other things that make it difficult for us to recruit productions, it's things like that. It's the intergovernmental cooperation and the flexibility and just the overall value of, sometimes with the value that people see in having production here.
And that's going to be attracted to the art, right? For the people that are really driving the art, they've got a vision that they want to be able to portray, and to not have limitations be put on them.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And it's the back and forth with the casinos. They want to know the branding and what's the opportunity for our brand, and and the movie's like, well, this is a franchise film. It's the Bourne movies. It's this run and gun, like really fast moving thing. So and it's the exposure and all of that stuff that make it so great when you do see the final product. But it was a great production, and we love to have more of it. And that one had nothing to do with tax incentives.
Yeah.
So, and historically, if you look at the film office, like we've been around since 1982, but film in the state has been going since Bonanza in 1960 something, right? It's been going since The Misfits with Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable up in Misfits Flat. I mean, film in the state has been going and going for decades before tax incentives. So all those movies we're known for, Mars Attacks and Casino and The Godfather, all those, Rain Man, all those films came to Nevada before anybody even had the idea of a tax incentive.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, right, that scene with in Rain Man, right, where they're here in Vegas and they come down the escalator, right, and the two of them are dressed up. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. That one is a lot of people don't know. It's my little Nevada trivia, but that's one of the films that won Best Picture Oscar for filming in Nevada. So that's our big Oscar-winning Nevada film.
Yeah.
And now we've got Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Rain Man, Nomadland, and now Honora. So we've got those are five films that are now Oscar-winning pictures.
Yeah, because Godfather 1, that was up in Tahoe.
Yeah, see, a lot of people forget that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Lake Tahoe is an awesome location.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. But going back to that branding and some of these videos, some of these movies that come out, Hangover, right, the famous one, where just come to Vegas and just throw everything on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Just spew and party however you want, just destroy the city.
Yeah, and that movie's how many years old? Like 10, 20 years old by now? And it's still, you'll still find it streaming, and then it was the merchandise, and then it's the Hangover slot machines, and it's the guy on the strip dressed like Alan, and it's just, it keeps going. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? So that's the long tail of impact of production. But, in something like that, sometimes the creative does drive the yes or the no. And in that particular case, a lot of the casino properties were saying no to that project because it did deal with drug use and, kind of didn't put the casino in the best light. So a lot of people don't realize that content also drives what places say yes or no. And so at the time, Caesars took a chance on it, and they were able to get a yes from, leadership, and it was the best decision they ever made. So a lot of that content does drive, and our office will advise on stuff like that too. Like people will say, I have a script that has, this or that. What do you think about a casino? And I've learned over the years the right questions to ask, which are there zombies? Is there fake blood? Are there firearms? Because a lot of times they won't disclose that up front, and we'll try to pitch the project or help them land a location, and then we'll come back later and nobody said yes to us, and everyone said no, and I'll find out after the fact. Oh, well, what you thought was two actors on the street ended up being, Nicolas Cage waving around a firearm shooting a cop. Well, that's different, right? So like we probably can't use that part, but can't use that example probably for it. But it's important for us to get the entire scope and the entire ask before we're, advocating on behalf of the production. So it's, we need to know, are there stunts? Are there, we've learned to ask the questions that the properties would ask. Does this show the casino in a bad light? What does it do for the brand? So it's pivoted a little bit since Hangover, and it's getting a little more difficult, with content like that. It's much more difficult to have something like a Hangover film, today.
Again, because of the branding, right?
Yeah.
Because the casinos are worried about what they're portraying and
Yeah,
what they're
anything
inviting
like
to
where
come
the
in.
house always wins, or
Yeah.
anything like that, or any kind of like prostitution in the room, or crime, or when CSI Las Vegas first came here, and this was before my time. Same thing. Wait a minute, you want to have a murder with a dead body in the hotel with the outline of the body, and this now we can't have that. And then it blew up and it became like this huge success, and then the hotels were. Yeah, CSI, come on over. We want to have a murder scene in our hotel. So it's just one of those things, and obviously that's urban legend or whatever, but that's the story from my predecessors. But yeah, it's always funny how that works, huh?
Yeah, and them coming to you. So it's not only a matter of getting the permitting, but then also you having the contacts with the hotel or whatever scene, right?
Yeah,
To be able to come
absolutely.
in.
It's part of our job to maintain contacts with, our local crew, local vendors, and be able to connect, the public relations folks on the hotel casino side, and the federal permitting contacts, the city, all the municipalities statewide. So, yeah, the Las Vegas Metro and the people that do the forestry and BLM, all those jurisdictions we interface with and have to keep in constant contact with, and get the update on who works there now, and what's changed and what policies have changed. A lot of times policies will change and they won't think to call us, and we'll find out from filmmakers like, hey, did you know that this is happening? And we'll say, no, we didn't know that, and circle back with, did you guys make a change on your, like, this is required now? So it's a lot of when we're not helping production, we're busy going through our locations and updating who the contact is for that, and is this person still around, and is this still film friendly, or did it close, or is it shuttered because of COVID? So it's a lot of just updating location contacts and things like that, and it's a relationship business. So and I say that to new filmmakers as well. It's the relationships with our crew, our vendors, the unions, all that stuff. So we're sort of the liaison. We work in an advisory capacity. I was thinking about this today. I guess I would compare us to just like when you're in school. It's back to school time. So you have an academic advisor who advises you what to do, what's going to be easy, what classes you should take. And we do a lot of that. I used to say we were like the concierge to the film industry, because I have background as concierge, but it's the same thing. You're referring people to resources, and our services are free. So, if you came to us with a script and we tell you, BLM is going to take you 90 days to permit. How about you find this private land, like we were talking about before? That's going to be easier for you to permit and do this car explosion on private land, way easier than doing federal permitting. So our job is we help out, try to find the easiest, best solution for everyone involved.
Yeah, and what is it? 70% or more of our land is owned by the federal government,
yeah,
right?
I can't
And so
remember the exact percentage, but it's a lot. It's more than you'd think. So anytime there's anybody that owns private land that wants to list with us as a film location, we'll take it. I mean, it's you can generate revenue off listing your plot of dirt with us. So
Yeah. And that's something interesting. So someone who owns a piece of dirt, or maybe an old farm, or
yeah,
land by wherever, right? That they can
yeah.
go, they can register with you, and then when film producers come, then
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a location database. We have two databases on our website. One is the location database, and it's free to list. So if you're a business owner, if you here wanted to list this office as a law office, people are always looking for this as well. If you wanted to list that in our location database, it's free. So you just tell me, I want to list my location. You upload 12 or 15 photos to the gallery, and then you put, the contact person that you'd want the person to talk with productions. If you want it to be us, sometimes we leave it, as our office for the contact. We can kind of vet it, but anything can be a film location, and a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, well, I don't want to show this dingy back alley part, or I don't want to show this beat up apocalyptic restaurant. But no, apocalyptic that's hot. That's hot right now. Everybody
get the
wants to do
zombies
the
out.
Walking Dead. Like, we're looking for the old dilapidated shack that no one thinks of anything, but the graffitied whatever it is. So, one man's junk is another man's treasure, right? So we're like, no, please show the back alley. Please show that stairway. Please show, horror films, thriller films, every genre, anything can be a film location. So if you own it, or you're the person that manages the PR or whatever it is for a company, and you want to bring film to your location potentially, absolutely list with us. Yeah, so that's the first database we have. And then the second one we have is our crew directory, which is how we connect our crew and vendors with the productions that come in. So again, it's another a free resource. You have to be a Nevada resident or own a Nevada business license. But when they come and they're looking for makeup artists and they're looking for sound people or you know special effects or any kind of crew position or services, rental car, transportation, um, hotel accommodations, all those things that productions would need filming here are also available to list. That is $25 a year, and 1 year to list. It's not bad, not a bad investment.
Yeah, $25, it's like a lunch nowadays.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the second point that you're getting into, right? Is that the fact that it's not only about bringing production here, but as well, like we have a lot of talent here.
Absolutely.
And so how do we keep the talent here and kind of provide them resources to then,
Yeah.
make their films here or get involved in other production sets?
Exactly. We do have a lot of talent here, and that's one thing I'm constantly fighting on. It's just kind of like, rubs me the wrong way when people, you hear that, oh, well, Las Vegas has no talent, or, Nevada has, should say Nevada. Nevada doesn't have crew. Nevada doesn't have talent. That's incorrect. So I'll go up against anybody about that. We absolutely have a talent. Our crew base is, maybe 1 to 2 deep, which means if we had 4 or 5 productions filming at the same time, first of all, that would be crazy and amazing. But if we had that many productions at the same time, what that means is we don't have enough crew to stretch all those things to film simultaneously. So 1 to 2 deep means that's as deep as it goes. Like we wouldn't be able to crew up that many things. So it's a lot of chicken and egg. It's a lot of we're exporting film students to Los Angeles. That's our biggest export, sadly. But that's all tied into all this other stuff that we talk about with legislation. And, yes, we would like to incubate homegrown talent, and we would like to get the productions here to create the jobs, to create the training, to create the workforce, to incubate and keep Nevada talent and Nevada vendors. And it's very difficult to do that in the climate that we have without the tools that we need. So, it's something that I'm really passionate about, but we can only do so much with the way things are. So,
And
yeah.
we could talk about that, right? I mean, part of it is, having the support from the legislator and having the support from the people to stand up for our community,
Right. Yeah.
right? And providing these incentives, providing these additional resources, whether or not it's a tax incentive.
Yeah.
It's
all out of our hands. I mean, it's getting the buy-in from the decision makers, from the legislators, from the people who make these decisions about our industry. So again, like I said, our office just does whatever whatever we're told, basically.
You have certain limitations that are set on you by the
limitations.
legislator, and
So,
the legislator's got to step up and
absolutely,
extend
it's
those
down
boundaries for you.
to even with budgeting, like our marketing budget or our travel budget. It's we can only do so much with advertising or do so much with travel and all of it. It's all rolled into how much investment the state wants to make on our agency. So I should probably cut that part out too. But we'll see.
And yeah, maybe not, because right, doesn't the film industry provide an extra way for our economy to be diverse? Right, because
I believe so.
And going back
Absolutely.
to like what you're saying, right? There's so much talent in California, right?
Yes.
We're close. Where there's a proximity. We have beautiful hotels where they can stay in. They can go home for the weekend. Right?
Yeah.
There is a huge incentive for us to really diversify our economy with
Absolutely.
the
I
arts.
think that there may be some kind of not a misunderstanding, but just maybe lack of awareness that the film industry provides so many jobs that a lot of people don't think of. If you give me any trade right now, give me a trade right now.
Yeah,
Law?
electrician.
Law? You want to tell me about law? There's
Oh,
entertainment law.
yeah.
So you give me any construction, you give me graphic arts, accounting now is a big thing. Production accounting. I can probably place any sort of field of study and tie it back to a film industry job. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's the technical guys, it's the gaffers, it's the grips, it's lighting, it's there's a whole bunch of jobs that some you need training for or degrees for, and some you don't. But a lot of people misunderstand. And if you're like me and my kids, when we watch movies, whether it's streaming or in the theater, we stay till the very, very last logo rolls with the Motion Picture Association, filmed in whatever, no animals were harmed, and we watch all those names. And all those names that go by are jobs created. So, a lot of people leave the theater, but each and every one of those names scrolling by is a job. It's the hair, it's the makeup, it's like, You take a movie like F1 that shot out here, there was something like, 1,500 extras that got hair and makeup done, background extras that you didn't even think of, but there was somebody locally that was doing hair and makeup for that. So it's all
Mhm.
things that people don't realize, but you know, they're all jobs. Even in post, it's editing, it's voiceover, it's so many transferable skills that can be transferred to the film industry that I don't know that people are aware of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a job generator for sure.
And that's interesting. You bring your kids into it, right? I mean, that's almost like
Yeah,
a teaching
100%,
experience for your kids to
100%.
go through and look at, like, look, this is why I do what I do, right?
Yeah, they
All those
know.
names
They
that you
know. They're
see,
like,
those are,
they know at the end,
yeah.
like if our
There's,
logo's at the end of something, like, there here comes the
yeah,
logo, So
yeah,
super exciting. And
uh,
for me, I think one of the biggest rewards for me personally over the years is seeing names that I know of our local crew and vendors scroll across the screen at the end credits.
mhm,
I get so excited. Oh, like I feel like, they're famous. Like, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that prop guy. I know
mhm,
that art department. But it's like, oh, these are my kids, especially if, um, a lot of them when I first started are now out and about, on film sets now as union camera operators and cinematographers now. And I went and talked to their class at UNLV when they were freshmen. And so I've been here so
right,
long now that I go on set and I see them as working professionals, which is rewarding to see them here working, in their hometown when the opportunities arise, but also to see, their success at the end credits, like, doing what they're doing with these great with Jason Bourne and with all these big films and Formula One and all these great films that you see that are shot here are now like, I remember that kid. I remember seeing
mm,
his UNLV 48-hour film or a Spring Flicks film when he was just starting out in school, and
mm,
you know, and I
mm,
like to say I have an eye for talent, but they're those kids. I call them my kids. I used to judge for Spring Flicks and for UNLV 48-hour film festival, and at that time it was kind of live judging, and it was like 3 days from 6 to 11 at night, and the judging was like American Idol. We would screen these films and just need the eye drop sitting in the
mm,
front row, and we would score live the films after each one. They don't do that anymore, but um, and at that time, I remember watching these short films and independent filmmakers and student filmmakers and saying, "Oh, hey, that guy's a really good actor. This guy's good in front of the camera," or that guy's a really great cinematographer. He's going to go places. And I haven't been wrong. I've been right every single
mhm.
time, and they've all gone on to do amazing things.
And
And
that's
I
amazing.
kind of have that I knew you
Yeah,
when thing, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, definitely a
yeah,
relationship business. There's been UNLV graduates I
mm,
know that are now literary agents in LA or working for studios or, and I'm
mhm,
calling them for networking now. So
yeah.
it's amazing.
That's pretty good, right? So not only providing a list where they can get onto, but to stand behind them, recognizing that talent, being able to push them a little bit, help them open up those doors,
Yeah, yeah,
and
100%.
maybe,
And it's just because
yeah,
just because these productions aren't familiar with people here, they don't know people here, doesn't mean that the talent isn't here. And one thing is that productions that, travel around, they obviously, yeah, you have your core group, you have your tribe, right? So, if there were a group of filmmakers here from Nevada that went to shoot somewhere else, they would bring their crew. They would bring the people that they know and that they trust and that they work with. So there is a certain amount of that, and we understand. There's above the line producers that bring their key crew members here. We understand that. But for a production assistant, we have plenty of production assistants. So you don't need to bring that,
mm,
right? So there's a bunch of what we call below the line positions that are here and available and qualified. And so when they say there's no talent, they're wrong, or there's no crew, or there's not enough, or whatever. They're incorrect in that statement. And
mhm,
so that's part of our mission is to say, hey, Nevada has the crew, Nevada has the talent, Nevada has the locations. We have the passion and the need and all this other stuff. Is it enough to recruit them? I don't know. But you are getting personalized attention when you call our office. We're a small, nimble crew of four. And I remember one time getting a call where, we answer within the first three rings, always. And I remember talking to a production once that was surprised that a live person picked up,
oh,
and
uh,
they were like, "Oh, wow, it's not a recording. It's not." I'm like, "No, yeah. How can I help you?" And so it was just that, that level of
mm,
service is there. We will be as hands-on as you want us to. If you want to send us the script, if you want us to advise on locations, if you want us in the production meetings with you, if you want us to come to set and do behind the scenes or social media, or we're as hands-on or as hands-off as you want. So there's been times where we're there the whole time, soup to nuts, from the beginning of a script idea. Mostly with independent filmmakers, they'll come in and um, advise on, or ask about a storyline or a certain thing. And I love it because I've been able to have influence over the years where I'll say, I'm a huge advocate of diversity in film and representation in film. I'm on the board of the Nevada Women's Film Fest and also the Cordillera International Film Fest. But things are better, but when I first started, they weren't that way. And so I would meet with young filmmakers that would say, "Oh, I have this script and it's about an astronaut or a doctor or whatever it is." And I would say, "Oh, well, is the astronaut female? Could the astronaut be Latina?" And it was just, they had never thought of it. They had just never thought of it before. And so, it was my job, not my job, but it was my passion to, kind of plant that seed of, well, why couldn't it be a female doctor? So
Yeah.
it's getting better. Representation for sure is getting better, but
And what about independent filmmakers here within Nevada? What kind of support does Film Nevada provide to them
we
to really give
provide
them the
absolutely all
resources?
of the same support at the same level that we provide studio tentpole features. So location assistance, we provide help navigating the permit process, helping find other crew. If you have a casting call and you want us to post the casting call, sometimes we can do that for you on our social media feed. So the same support, the difference is the independent community may not have the budget that
Mhm.
these other productions have. And so our support can only go so far. Like if you're asking me for a location, but you don't have a budget for location fees, that's as far as I can take you, right? So we provide the advice, we provide the support, but unfortunately we don't provide any financing or any grants or any film funding, unfortunately. So we don't work in the space of the beginning with film financing when it's in development, and we don't work in the distribution space at the end. But it's when your film is greenlit and you've got the budget and you've got your shoot dates and you've got your film and you're ready to go, we're here for that. So, give us a call, reach out, email. We can make appointments, and we'll sit down with whoever wants to come in our office, no matter how small. I don't care if it's, a student film with a documentary and you're shooting on an iPhone. I'll still help you.
Yeah.
We all will.
And you're gonna answer the phone.
What's that?
You'll answer the phone when they call.
Absolutely. On the
Yes.
first
Yeah.
try, I will answer the phone. The
Yes.
first 3 rings at least.
So how do they go on to register
Sure.
for
Yeah.
as a crew member or to be able to list what their
Absolutely.
talent is?
Yeah. So, Nevada vendors, obviously, they have to have a state business license. You have to have a business license in the name of the company. For local freelance crew members, to register with us, you need a paid position. You need to have a 1 credit in a paid professional position to list as that position. In other words, you know, a student film at the university for your senior thesis project, although you may have been a DP on that, it's not the same as being a DP on a Netflix production or a studio film. So the level of experience is there, even though the position is the same. So you need to have a paid professional credit on set, being a PA or a cinematographer or a camera operator or boom operator, whatever the position might be. Although you may have experience doing that with your own, crew and equipment, it has to have a professional paid credit to do so, because that's what, for the most part, people are looking at when they crew up, so to speak, when they look at our website.
And then do they go to the website then to register? Is that where they go?
So yeah, you can go to our website. There's a little section that talks about both databases, the location database and the crew database. Now, let's say in your case, for example, let's say you're an entertainment lawyer, but you also have this office that you want to list. You can do both. You can make an account on our website and list this office as a film location, and then you can list yourself as an entertainment lawyer on the crew side. So you can do both. But there are instructions there. It's super simple. You just create an account with a username and a password, and you log in and you can upload your resume. You have to write your credits in there. You write your descriptive paragraph and all the categories that you are qualified to list in. We cap it at 10 because, sure, you can do a million things, but let's narrow it down to the 10 things that you're best at. And, you're your own. We provide the tool. We provide the toolkit for you, and the rest is up to you. So it is the film business, and that's the business side of it, is knowing how to market yourself and having a website and keeping, answering your email, answering your phone, and that kind of thing. So that's the side where some of these creatives need a little help. You know, you'd be surprised at how often it's easy. Sometimes you just have to be the one vendor that answers the email. You just have to be the one crew member that calls them back. It's not hard. It's just you know, it's a pretty low bar, honestly, but that's the business side, and people get jobs based on, you know, you were the first to call back, you know, so that's what it comes down to. So you have to keep in mind you're developing your skills and your creative skills, and you're keeping up with the latest gear and the latest lens. But hey, man, update your resume. People are still calling and asking us for resumes, believe it or not. And no, you know, I know you have the IMDb credit, but when they call me and they say, "Do you have resumes?" Production doesn't want to hear, "Check out my IMDb page. I'm on IMDb." Nope, nope. If you're making their job difficult to find you, if you're taking their time, time is money. Nobody wants to go look your IMDb up. Have the resume, have it ready, have it on your listing. And I can't stress that enough. It seems antiquated that you would need a resume in this business, but you absolutely still do.
Yeah, it's much quicker.
Yeah.
For them to look at. And so, what is the website that they can go to register?
So it's film.nv.gov, which is brand new. The .gov is brand new. We were a .com for many, many years, but we've always been a state agency. We've always technically been a .gov. We just finally changed everything over, and Chad will tell you how difficult that process is.
Yeah.
But at least it's like, you know, with the .gov now, I think it's less confusing, and I think it brands us more as a state agency, where I think before it was maybe a little confusing. People weren't quite sure of, you know, what is this film office? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.